Okay, take two. This time I got my mic on. All right, welcome everybody to Supplierty News and another great podcast that we have coming to you guys. As always, if you enjoy what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment on the video, and check us out on other media outlets such as Twitter, Medium, etc., as well as our website, suppliertynews.com. I want to thank everybody for their continued support. Thanks for the additional subscriptions. Last week's, conversations on one of our YouTube videos, as well as just again the continued support through all our platforms and everything that we're doing. So thank you so much. But let's go ahead and let's talk about today's podcast. This time we have with you. This time we have for you. Excuse me. As always, Ray Hayes, who's continued to be my podcast partner throughout the year. So Ray, thanks again for joining us.
No problem at all.
Yep. As well as today we have another special podcaster for you, and that's Terrence, aka I guess we may call him T sometimes throughout. So if we're talking to T, if we say T, that means Terrence. But Terrence, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the podcast.
Yeah. So just want to do a quick introduction of you, so everybody kind of knows who you are. So this is another one of my college friends from Morehouse, Morehouse College. And one of the things that we felt that it would be apropos to bring him on is because he is within the entertainment industry, so film, comic books, etc. And when we were in college, we always would have really good conversations about the comic book industry, kind of what they're doing and how we see it growing. So bringing you in to talk about our latest podcast topic, I think, is important, and I think we're going to have a really good conversation throughout. So thanks again for joining us, T. And with that being said, let me go ahead. But with that being said, let me pass it over to Ray. Ray's going to introduce the topic, and then we're going to get right into it and have a really good conversation. So, Ray.
All right, thanks, Jaymie. Definitely, I wanted to just piggyback before we start on your words in regards to having T on. I mean, it's definitely a pleasure. And I was telling Jaymie for a while we should do a podcast with T because we did one with Brian, and it is definitely a pleasure. This is a cool, just reminiscing, and also just college years.
Are you okay over there?
Oh yeah, I'm good. Why you
okay?
No, I ain't.
It was moving a lot. It was moving a lot.
Oh, my bad. Okay, but let's go on into the conversation today. Okay. Today we're talking about and the fact that many Marvel execs and just comic saying that they're tired of diversity in the comic book industry, and comics that focus on diversity are not selling. So, like I said, we're going to break it down, go over some numbers, and we're going to have a little conversation about it. So, first off, I just want to say, over the past few years, there's been a lot of controversy within the comic book industry. And comic book industry in particular, you look at Netflix Iron Fist. There was a big the character that was chosen to be Iron Fist. The lack of female front runners within the comic book industry. The lack of, or not the lack, but too much of gender bending of legendary heroes like the Thor being Jane Foster now, and Wolverine, with Wolverine being X-23, which is a female now. Therefore, many of the diehard comic book fans are questioning whether publishers' efforts to diversify comics is useless or not. And guess what? Some publishers agree that it is. Several diverse comics have been canceled as well, like Luke Cage, Iceman. They're saying that Wolverine is coming back to take the throne as Wolverine, and X-23 will be replaced. Jane Foster character as Thor may be ending this spring due to the fact that Marvel has put out a teaser saying the death of Thor. So some people are speculating that Thor Odinson will be back to regain his throne as Thor. So, like I said, the execs are saying that, okay, these comics weren't selling in the first place. So it's not just, we're not getting rid of them because they're diverse or they have a diverse leading character. The fact of it is they're just not selling. And at the last New York City Comic Con, they had a panel discussion where they talked about how when people are coming into the comic book shops, they're not buying these comics. In particular, they're not buying comics with men kissing other men. So they're just skimming over that stuff. They're not paying attention to it, and they're tired of seeing it. It's like being forced down their throats, so to say. But when you take a look at the numbers, it's a different story. Because overall, single solo sales of, like, say for instance, a Thor or Spider-Man, Batman, all of that, they're not selling. So paperback copies aren't selling that well. For instance, from 2017 to 2016, there was a 25% drop in paperback sales.
2016 to 2017.
However, yes. But when you look at trade paperbacks and also digital copies, those sales are up by 12% as of 2016. And when it comes to diverse characters from these digital copies, or these digital, like when you're looking at it online, or you just have the Marvel app where you're buying comics from there, those sales are up. And however, you have people saying they don't want these diverse comics. But it seems to be, when you're looking at statistic-wise, that that's not the case. So my suggestion would be for the execs, and also once I say this, I want to get Jaymie and T, I want to get your opinions about this as well. Maybe they need to think about how they go about marketing these new comic book characters. As far as, okay, granted, all paperback sales are down, but truly embrace these digital form of comics, because they're being overlooked. And if they're being overlooked, you're losing characters in comic book titles that people may actually want. So beside you saying, okay, no, we're not getting verse characters, be honest with and just people in general, and just saying, hey, paperbacks are all down, but digital copies show that these diverse copies are selling. So the diversity is comic book industry.
Well,
but go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I want to say something. I'm going to pass it over to T real quick. But couldn't those same people argue the fact that, I'm just throwing an example out there, but the reason why their latest run of Captain America, the reason why it's down is because they're starting to promote, Captain Marvel and Jane Foster, and since they're trying to push those at the head, with those sales dropping, that's affecting Captain America. Do you think they can maybe make that argument? And I'm going to ask T that. Do you think these executives would make that argument that, our major comics are suffering because as we're trying to change, again, Captain Marvel, Thor, Spider-Man, etc., they're having a negative effect on the established characters?
That was going to be one of my points, because these characters are they're so iconic and they've been around for so long that people don't want to see too many changes. So when you take Thor, who's been, this male, say that, Thor couldn't be female, but changing that iconic character, people tend to not really be on board with change, especially if it's, changing something that's familiar. With Thor and even with Captain America, in the comics, they passed the mantle on to Sam Wilson, who was originally Falcon. And there were issues with that, not because Sam Wilson because it was, such an unexpected change that people wasn't really feeling Sam Wilson being Captain America. I mean, that's that's what we know Sam Wilson as the Falcon.
Yeah, so you're saying that any change, like it doesn't even matter. Let me try to think of so let's say Storm. They made Storm a Asian guy. That would have a negative effect on the sales of X-Men, for example. Or if Storm had her own comic book, that would just have a negative effect just because there's been a change made and you've built so much, I guess, loyalty behind the brand that is Storm that when you change it, that loyalty suffers or that support suffers.
Yeah, well, it feels like they're changing it to purposely be diverse. Like it's not it's not an organic change. So
they haven't earned it. Yeah, they haven't earned it.
No, exactly. You know what I mean? Like I felt like they sat, in a meeting and they were like, like we want more diversity in our comment. Well, are unworthy and like have Jane Foster now be worthy of Mjolnir, which is the hammer that Thor uses, and so now Foster is Thor. Like that's a great concept, by the way, and that's something that I can actually get on. I honestly don't know why sales haven't been up for that. I mean, that's a fantastic idea, but I mean, one reason it just wasn't organic, and they gender bending for the sake of gender bending. Take Iceman, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, like they made that character homosexual now.
So I believe you're right. Yeah.
So Iceman is an iconic character in X-Men. Not to say that I couldn't be homosexual. I mean, that will be great to have an iconic character that the LGBT community can kind of sort of relate to. When you tend to change the iconic characters that have been around since like the 70s, like change is hard, like in general, so my suggestion would be to create characters in which the iconic characters are, for example, if an Iceman on another similar mutant that had his powers, person happened to be LGBT community, like show that iconic character in support of this new upcoming character.
Throw that out there to you real quick. Just wanted you said him, well, his boyfriend now. His boyfriend is a guy named Romeo. He's an Inhuman. And recently they just had their first kiss.
I
think it was back in January. They had their first kiss and it was a big as well. So I just wanted to throw it out there that he's dating an Inhuman by the name of Romeo.
Okay, I missed the question because it kind of went out. Can you repeat again?
Well, no. I didn't mean I didn't want to just throwing something in there that.
Oh, you're just confirming.
His boyfriend.
Yeah, you're just confirming that. I.
Yeah. Okay, got you. Yeah, got you. Okay. So with that, that change, like even though, like again, like I'm all for changing the characters up to make things interesting, but like when you do it for the sake of we need more diversity in our comics, then foster new characters that can kind of
With
fill that void.
yeah, with that being said, so two questions here, because I get where you're going with this, which is yeah, don't change a character for the sake of changing a character, whether that be diversity or whether that be any reason that you're essentially doing it not for the sake of the story or for the sake of the history of the character because you think that you're gonna make a couple dollars out of it, and you're feeling that the people who are
Right,
loyal to the brand of these characters know that, and they're like, oh, this is clearly a money grab. I don't want to be a part of this
right.
because. So, with that being said, can you name an instance? I'm not gonna put and make you put on your film director hat just yet, but can you name an instance where it has happened the right way, so that we can kind of understand how you kind of think about this in terms of how to handle these situations? Because the first thing that comes to mind for
Well,
me,
as far as like these superhero films, go ahead.
say that again.
It kept going in and out. I was trying to hear what you were saying.
Okay, sorry about that. No, I was just saying, can you give an example of diversity done right? I guess within comic books.
Um, honestly, okay, so I'm gonna leave the Marvel world
Okay.
and go to the DC world. All right. Have any of you guys seen Young Justice?
Yes.
I haven't.
Hello?
I haven't. Jaymie
Yes.
said yes.
Yeah.
See,
Yes. So Young Justice is for those who don't know. I mean, you guys should know if you're a comic nerd. Young Justice is a cartoon that focuses on the sidekicks and on the DC Comics side. It's a cartoon that focuses on the sidekicks, and they do covert missions led by Batman. And so when we talk about diversity, like I would say diversity done right through Justice because just off of their team lineup, do they have any LGBT or are they catering to the LGBT community? No, they aren't just yet. Well, hopefully with this new season that's coming out, they do have certain characters
Yeah, they probably will.
that will cater to that community. But you had in that show, you had Hispanics represented, you had blacks represented, you had Chinese represented, like almost every race you could say, because they had Martians up in there, was represented in there, and they kind of touch on um, prejudice and kind of sort of racism through McGann, who really isn't a green Martian, is a white Martian, and the green Martians kind of like ostracize the white Martians. So they kind of touch a little bit on that diversity and even the issues that they encounter, while on missions and just being around each other. Like we see that. So as far as like diversity done right, I mean,
Yeah, that's
I would say that's an example of diversity done right.
yeah.
Um,
That's a good one.
even,
Yeah.
yeah. Marvel's now I'm going back to the Marvel world. Their Young Avengers comic book series is diversity done right. Um, I'm not fully privy to all of the characters on Young Avengers, but I do believe they do have one character that caters to the LGBT community. So this kind of goes back into my point of keeping your iconic characters the same, but have them in full support of the goal and mission of diversity. And then it's not, you're not changing characters for the sake of, trying to get more money, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. those are all good ones. Another one that I was gonna say was gonna be Miles Morales for Spider-Man.
Oh,
Yeah, definitely.
absolutely.
I
I
think
like I love Miles Morales, you know, and I think that was done organically, um, in such a way in which it hasn't been canceled,
nope. It's
as
actually
far as I know.
well. So they do like runs with it. So they'll release a couple and then they'll kind of stop. Then kind of like a TV show. Then they'll do some more and then they'll release some more or whatnot. But from what I've seen,
Right.
it's their highest when it comes to this new generation of characters that they're created. That Miles Morales is easily the best received. Uh,
But
Right.
what about Wally West? Wally West's character on Flash, the
that's a little bit
television
different.
show.
That's a little bit different because in the comic books he's white.
Right, right. But I'm saying,
S-
would you think that would be a good forcing the diversity down our throats?
I I'm kind of indifferent about that because like the like DC has made it clear that the comics and the television show and the movies they're all different.
Okay.
Um,
See what you said. Okay.
but and they intend to keep them all sort of separated. But with the television show, I mean, they made Iris West black, so it only made sense to make her nephew um black also.
Yeah, I think
I wouldn't say
No, it's
that
her brother.
was.
On there, it's her brother.
Oh, that was her brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't follow the show.
yeah. If anything, to be completely honest,
So it
I actually well just to make a quick point, I actually like you just said, T, that does create some confusion because if you do like the TV series and you're like, okay, I want to get into the comic book,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you look at the
yeah,
comic book and
screw.
it's a white guy who's a nephew, you're gonna be like, wait a minute, hold on, it's not the one that I
No,
fell in love with.
exactly.
So
right
that's gonna cause some
and what
confusion on the comic books.
right and Wally West is considered an iconic character because at some point he becomes the Flash instead of Kid Flash. So
Right.
and there are different generations of the Flash. But I wanted to kind of go back to Miles Morales and Spider Man,
Yep.
and as far as like my point of having an iconic character like Spider Man, Peter Parker, support Miles Morales, in which they are doing that. So now Peter Parker serves as like this mentor to Miles Morales, who is another Spider Man, and then with different powers, and is coming to and the series is done extremely well. They've even they're even in talks of including him in the movie Spider-Man. They made mention of Miles Morales through Donald Glover's character in Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming. So um changes changes like difficult, especially with an iconic characters like Superman and Captain America. Like when you change them, like it's people get really offensive about it.
Yeah, maybe
Like not to go ahead.
yeah, maybe because I'm just thinking about this, right? So Jane Foster took over Thor after Thor died, or he just quit the mantle of Thor.
No, he wasn't
Mhm.
proven unworthy.
Right. Well,
So so
yeah.
so I was gonna say like with that scenario, like she she only got the hammer because Thor died in the comic books. It wasn't a scenario where she picked up the hammer while Thor was still alive and used the hammer and kind of like
Helped him.
surprised
Yeah.
Thor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if they had done a scenario where Thor was in trouble and like Jane was sort of like she was gonna like
The only
risk her
person.
life,
Yeah.
she grabbed the hammer and used it. That would have been
Yeah,
like,
that would have been cool. Yeah, that
oh
would have actually have been
snap,
cool. Yeah.
like So like, what are you gonna do? You know, because now you have Thor and Jane, who are now both worthy to use the hammer.
Yeah, you know what?
And like it could have been like it could have been like a scenario in which Thor is like, I can't really protect Midgard because I need to now rule Asgard. So I'm giving you Mjolnir so you can protect Midgard. You know what I'm saying? So it was
maybe
like
maybe that's the big issue then when it comes to not I don't, because I do agree that it's bigger than diversity, because we're seeing a lot of these comic books lowering in sales in some aspects. I think that maybe just how the storytelling is the main issue, and how they're doing it is the big issue. So maybe having like the Thors and the Peter Parkers there to kind of pass that mantle and even work with them as they're trying to figure it out is a better way than just completely killing off the character and then just replacing them with somebody, or just replacing them for whatever reason.
Right.
Go ahead, T. Well, let me say something real quick before we go on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Just to point out that from the article that I was reading about this, talking about, they did say the heavy hitters, the Avengers and the Justice League, Spider-Man and Batman, they're still selling a lot. It's just more so the diverse characters and the newer character storyline.
Well, Miles Morales is doing
stuff
good.
Like that.
Like I've seen Miles Morales is doing fine, and he's part of the new generation.
You have a point.
Yeah, so it's not just that, right? I mean, I understand that it's hard to create new characters.
They actually, but see, they actually killed
as much though as the original characters.
I mean, nothing's gonna sell as much as the original Spider-Man. Spider-Man's the number one. I saw a chart. Spider-Man is the most profitable comic book ever. It's more profitable than Batman. It's more profitable than Superman. It's more profitable than the Justice League of anything. So nothing's gonna touch Spider-Man ever.
I would say he's the most relatable all superheroes.
Yeah, he's the first ever teenage superhero. So,
and the only reason why I say that, he actually tried to live a normal life, and we see the conflict of that. Like, we don't really see the conflict of that. Superman, that like he's the most relatable.
Yeah, so,
out of everything.
Yeah, so nobody's ever going to touch Spider-Man. Like, but the fact that Miles Morales is still doing as well as he is, I think, is a testament to you can build a character in today's day and age successfully.
Right.
Even the DC superhero girls as well.
Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah, the kitty is like Bumblebee. I believe that's the name, Bumblebee. She's a black hero with, like, so to say.
Yeah.
But those characters, like, I see them at the store and the Toys R Us. Toys R Us, and those characters are doing good, and those comics are doing good as well too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. But okay,
see some of the top 10 in sales.
Okay,
on a month basis, those were among the top 10 in sales.
Wait, what
Harley Quinn.
What was among the top 10 in sales?
For a month-to-month basis, there was a Harley Quinn, DC Girls, and Thor.
What was the second one?
Okay.
Wait, it was Harley Quinn?
Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman, Superhero Girls, and Thor.
Who's in the Superhero Girls?
Okay.
I would say they're like
a number of superhero women, right?
Somewhat, that remind me of like a
okay.
Or the Teen Titans, so to say. They're teenage girls.
Oh, it's an all girl. It's an all girl team. I didn't know that.
Yeah, who's in the lineup?
I'm gonna get the full list. But you all go ahead.
Okay.
And get the full list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to point out that like with sales being down back, that like that's just not a comic book issue. That's a book like hard copy issue. Like everything, you know.
Okay. See, the superhero girls consist of Bumblebee, Harley Quinn, Katana, Poison Ivy, Katana. Thanks, Jamie. Poison Ivy, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman.
Oh, you know why that's doing well? Because they got they got villains and superheroes all on the same team.
But no, I mean, no bad. She's not.
I don't know. Yeah, Harley Quinn's actually a good guy. No,
Harley Quinn's
a good guy now. Ain't that crazy?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait, what? How did this?
In the comic,
how did this transpire
in the comic book world or whatever?
She's
an anti. They're calling them anti-heroes. Kind of like a Loki.
She's an anti-hero.
Yeah, kind of like Loki.
Okay.
She's an anti-hero, but yeah, she's not bad.
So the Joker. Class clown. So she stopped rolling with the Joker, and now she, good. Or is Joker more like a kryptonite?
She's conflicted. She still loves Joker, but she understands he's evil.
See, so that women can relate to that right now.
You know what? There
it is.
Poison Ivy is good. I'm sorry. Poison Ivy is good. She's not bad at DC superhero girl.
No, she's a villain. They have a team of super villains on the same team.
Right.
Do you know how much controversy, like morality, beliefs, all of that is going to clash on a consistent basis with Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn.
Like I understand what you think Harley Quinn is. Like you're thinking of Harley Quinn in like the late 90s, early 2000s or whatever. She's not like that anymore in the comic books.
I'm totally open to this new Harley Quinn because like I said, like women can relate to her right now. Like in a normal relationship, they can love a man and think that he's just evil, So it's just like it's just relatable on like so many different levels for women. I don't know why I'm excited about that, but I'm definitely going to go check that out.
Yeah.
So yeah. There, so that team that you just named is not just on a city level, but just on the morality level as well. So that's why that comic book is doing so well. I didn't even know about it, and I'm about to look that up right now so I can go purchase it digitally because
I actually have one of the action figures. My wife, she bought one and she wanted to collect it, but we have the Bumblebee action figure from DC Superheroes. Yeah.
Yeah, man. On a random comment point, but like, man, Harley Quinn has like come from like nothing to like everything in DC. Like, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her, the character.
Solo movie coming out.
Yeah, good for her, the character.
Yeah, she does have her own solo movie now. Because look at it. Because like honestly, if you look at the history of that character, like she was getting physically abused.
Yep.
By the Joker, and like to change that character because it was just setting a terrible example. Like she was basically saying it's okay to stay with the guy that's physically beating you, and that mentally. They had to
everything
and mentally. So they had to. So this is a scenario in which they had to make changes to that character, but
especially nowadays too with the Me Too movement and all that.
Right. So and they've done it in a manner in which it's it's great. So back to your point, Jaymie, like that character went from having nothing to having everything, you know. And I'm really excited about that, you know, because we used to just think of her just as the Joker's like sidekick or the Joker's girlfriend that he would just beat on.
Yeah.
And now she's like,
yeah, I can remember the cartoon.
She's much more, because
I can remember the cartoon when Joker would just like, she'd say something, he just smacked the crap out of her.
Right.
And it'd be like a joke.
And this was okay.
Yeah, this was like in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'd be like a joke.
So they had to make choices. And if you think about it, like Harley Quinn, like she has, you know, she can give Batman a run for her money. And the only reason why I say that is because she has a psychology degree. So she's really smart and she's athletic.
Yeah, there's actually an episode.
I'm surprised.
There's actually an episode where Harley Quinn outsmarts Batman.
And it makes sense, you know. Like if anybody understands Batman is gonna be her.
Yeah.
I would say she would understand Batman more than the Joker would.
I can see my way there. Yeah.
But but Harley Quinn is like a prime example, you know, of diversity, if you're gonna change an iconic character, well, I don't know if it's diversity done right, but like Harley Quinn is an iconic character, and they made major changes, you know.
True.
So, and it worked, you know. So Harley Quinn, this Harley Quinn is so much better than, you know, 90s Harley Quinn.
Yeah, no, I completely.
So if you're gonna make so if you're gonna make changes to an iconic character, you know, do it for the better, and not, you know, like if they messed around and
like
made
a Captain
Harley
America
Quinn black, you know what I mean?
I got what you're saying. Okay, no, that's good.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So like, so take Captain America. Do you guys know about the whole controversy of like Captain America being a Hydra agent?
Yeah.
Like
the reception was not good for that comic book series.
When they did that, the fans, there was an uproar.
Yeah.
There was a complete uproar. Because they was like, how can you do this? Captain America represents something that's good.
You know I hated it.
Now you just
I hated that.
Of course.
I hated it.
I actually meant to call you about like as soon as that happened, like because I wanted to like kind of sort of like rub it in your face.
Nah, man. Mentally, I had issues with that.
but I didn't because I had issues with it.
Yeah.
Because it's like this is a character that represents that's super patriotic, that loves his country, and is like Captain America is like the essence of good, you know.
Yeah.
If you look at moral good, like you're gonna see Captain America's picture next to it, because that's Captain America. Finding out that he was a Hydra agent, that broke
that's
people's
the core.
hearts.
Yeah, that's the core of who Steve Rogers is.
But, hey, Jaymie and T, before we go in and delve in anymore, let's try to condense and just bring it to an end.
Okay.
We're going off topic right now. Let's
we start talking about Captain America. I can go on for a long time, but okay.
Well, yeah, I mean that goes to show that, you know, Captain America is an iconic character, and when you make changes like that for the sake of, you know, switching things up, like it can turn out bad, you know.
But I think, you know, as like Ray said, as we're wrapping this up, I think we've kind of talked about a really good conversation on what the issue is, right? When it comes to when just changing just for the sake of $1 or not for really the story. How is this affecting two characters, right? How is this going to affect, for example, Thor, and how is this in his fan base, and how is this going to affect Jane, and how is this really going to connect the two? And right now, comic books really aren't doing that. But I do think that when you are able to do that in a productive manner, like a Spider-Man, like the, you know, Young Justice, and even with a Harley Quinn, when you're taking a character, a diverse character who was kind of a really sideline character, and then giving her things and making her grow into a character that can make you a ton of money, I think that that is 100% the right way to do it. So we definitely talked about it. And And with that being said, if you guys have any thoughts on what you feel about diversity in comics, definitely let us know. But yeah, overall, thanks, T, Ray, as always, for coming on and talking about diversity in comics and giving your thoughts.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime. As always, please like, subscribe, share, comment on the video. And with that being said, have a great night or day or afternoon, wherever you are.